Welcome to the Friday Five here on the Agent Survival Guide podcast. I'm your host, Sarah Ruppel, and it is Friday, October 25th. This is our weekly list of 5 things you should know about, and we're starting out with a quick mention at number 5. This is for all the creatives out there, whether that's you or your kids. Last week, Adobe held their annual Max conference where they announced all sorts of new features, many of which utilize AI. A lot of very cool stuff, but I am not here to recap that experience. This announcement came out this week when Adobe made their painting app, Fresco, completely free to use. You no longer need to pay a monthly subscription fee to use it. The move is likely designed to compete directly with Procreate. That is another drawing app that users pay a one-time charge of $12.99 to unlock premium features. Because of Procreate's price point and my familiarity with the software, that is usually what I would recommend for budding artists or those who just got a tablet. Now, I'd have to say that recommendation would likely switch to Fresco as a starting point. And yes, I will definitely be downloading that onto my daughter's iPad for her to try it out and see how she likes it. Moving on to number 4. It's an interesting time for pharmacies. Both Rite Aid and Walgreens have been announcing store closures as they're struggling to stay afloat. CVS seems to be the front runner in the brick and mortar pharmacy space, but Amazon and Walmart are stepping in to offer some competition. On October 9th, Amazon announced their plans to expand their same-day pharmacy delivery business to cover 45% of customers in the United States. And by same day, according to the release, quote, "In most cases, that means a customer can order medication by 4 p.m. and receive it at home by 10 p.m., end quote. Amazon's expansion is projected to be complete by the end of 2025. Not to be outdone, Walmart made an announcement on Tuesday this week that they would also be expanding their pharmacy efforts in 2025. Walmart is currently offering pharmacy delivery in Arkansas, Missouri, New York, Nevada, South Carolina, and Wisconsin, with plans to expand the service into 49 states rather than those current 6. According to the release, the multitude of physical Walmart locations, quote, enables delivery to more than 86% of households, end quote. And as far as turnaround time on delivery, depending on the delivery method chosen, prescription drugs can either be delivered at a specific time, within hours, or in as little as 30 minutes. Walmart expects their expansion to be complete by the end of January 2025. Now, despite these delivery offerings, there are still quite a few medications that cannot be delivered to an individual's doorstep, based on either storage needs or federal restrictions. Some examples of those would be Schedule II medications, controlled substances, compounded medications, Medicare Part B prescriptions, and drugs that need refrigeration. We'll be linking to those releases in the notes for details on where those programs are expanding. Number 3, one thing regular listeners of our show will tell you is that we are emphatic about agents conducting annual plan reviews. It's one of those best practices that we talk about, and we talk about it a lot. It's something to mention when you're meeting with a client and enrolling them for the first time. That way they will know to expect it. And we recommend that because we know how much circumstances can change from year to year. And we have seen multifaceted changes this year: cost, benefits, carriers, and then add a client's health and lifestyle on top of that. There is a lot to consider. We mentioned in past episodes that Medicare beneficiaries historically are not used to shopping for coverage from year to year. And now a new Stride study shows that the sentiment is not reserved for Medicare beneficiaries. Apparently, those with marketplace coverage aren't too keen on shopping either. Quick background on the study. Stride analyzed responses of 1,700 individuals who didn't have access to health coverage through their employer. So if they want coverage, they have to seek it out themselves. When asked if they planned to shop for coverage during the 2025 ACA open enrollment period, 73% of respondents said no. And of those who said they don't plan to shop, 54% claimed that they were happy with their current plan. 13% responded that they didn't want the hassle. Expanding on that concept of hassle, 78% of those surveyed said they were overwhelmed and frustrated by the health insurance process. Some interesting takeaways about frustration. Respondents were asked to identify those frustrations. 55% said they were confused by the whole process of buying insurance. 63% were overwhelmed by how long it takes. 66% feel harassed by phone calls. 85% believe it's just too expensive. And the top frustration, with 87% of respondents reporting they are confused when trying to compare plans. So my takeaway from this, very similar to my takeaway from similar studies we've looked at on the Medicare side. This shows a clear need for an agent to help streamline that process and make it easier to understand. When I see stats like that 54% of respondents not shopping are happy with their current plan, I can't help but wonder if they even know how their plan is changing for the coming coverage year. Annual reviews are just plain and simple a good business practice, whether you're an agent selling on the Medicare side of the industry or to the under 65 ACA market. Number 2, KFF recently released some takeaways from their analysis of data compiled by the National Association of Insurance Commissioners and the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, NAIC and CMS, respectively. KFF found in that analysis that Medicare Supplement Plan G was the most populated plan, with almost 39% of MedSupp beneficiaries enrolled. Number-wise, that's about 5.3 million people. Coming in second place for enrollment numbers, Plan F, which is only available for those eligible for Medicare prior to January 1st, 2020. Still a great deal of enrollment in this plan. About 36% of MedSupp beneficiaries have held onto their Plan F. That's about 4.9 million individuals. Coming in third place, and we just had Ted Sims on the show to talk about this particular plan, Plan N. In 2023, Plan N enrollment was at 10% of all MedSupp beneficiaries. And if I've done the math correctly, a little over 1.3 million MedSupp beneficiaries enrolled in Plan N for the 2023 plan year. According to the KFF analysis, quote, people with Medigap are more likely to be white, have higher income, and report better health status compared to traditional Medicare beneficiaries overall, end quote. In 2023, 94% of Medicare supplement policyholders were white. 54% had an annual income of $40,000 or higher. 88% reported themselves to be in, quote, excellent, very good, or good health, unquote. And then probably not so surprisingly, 98% reported that they were age 65 or older. Also in the report, KFF broke out 2023 MedSupp enrollment by state. If you were listening last week, you know that my love for KFF's tables and graphs goes deep, and this report is no exception. It's interesting to see enrollment broken out by state. Here in Pennsylvania, 48% of beneficiaries in Original Medicare also have a MedSupp plan. In Texas, that percentage drops just a smidge to 42%. We will have the link to the full study in the episode notes so you can find the percentages for your state and download that graphic if you're interested in using it for presentations. And while we're on the subject of Medicare Supplement, that brings us to our top headline this week. Coming in at number 1, CMS announced 2 sets of Medicare Supplement information that are important to agents selling for the 2025 coverage year. We've got the official numbers on deductibles and out-of-pocket limits for Medigap for coverage year 2025. Before we get into that, though, a little background info. Historically, Medicare Supplement plans F, G, and J have all had a high deductible option. Plan J was a MedSupp option that was discontinued to new enrollees in June 2010. It was phased out with the Medicare Prescription Drug Improvement and Modernization Act of 2003 because of improvements to the Part D product. Those who were enrolled at the time could remain enrolled in the plan, so there are still people who have this coverage. And then MedSupp Plan F was a high deductible option that was retired for new enrollees beginning January 1st, 2020. It was phased out by MACRA, or the Medicare Access and CHIP Reauthorization Act of 2015, which eliminated first dollar coverage in Medicare. And that means that the Part B deductible was covered by the cost of the plan. Similarly to Plan J and other discontinued MedSupp plans, those enrolled in Plan F at the time were able to remain enrolled in the plan. This change was more recent than the Plan J discontinuation, so it's more likely that you've seen clients who still hold this MedSupp plan. Plan G also has a high deductible option, and it is currently the most comprehensive Medicare Supplement plan coverage available. It covers everything Plan F covered, minus coverage of the Part B deductible. Now, despite the fact that 2 of these plans have been semi-retired, the deductible amounts for all 3 are set at the same rate. This annual deductible is a threshold beneficiaries must meet before their MedSupp plan will pay for their benefits. For coverage year 2025, the high deductible option for MedSupp plans F, G, and J is $2,870, up from the current 2024 amount of $2,800. Moving on to out-of-pocket limits. Medicare Supplement plans K and L feature cost sharing, out-of-pocket limits, and lower monthly premiums to distribute costs a little differently than other MedSupp plans. The out-of-pocket limit changes yearly, and this amount, plus the Part B deductible, is what beneficiaries will pay before the plan pays 100% for approved services. Both of these numbers increased for coverage year 2025. The Plan K out-of-pocket limit is $7,220 in 2025, up from $7,060 in 2024. The out-of-pocket limit for Plan L is half that amount, coming in at $3,610 for 2025. Also up from $3,530 in 2024. We will be linking to both of those announcements from CMS in the episode notes. But that's all we've got for this week's Friday 5. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you have a great weekend. Stay healthy and stay safe out there. And we will see you next week. The Agent Survival Guide podcast is a production of Ritter Insurance Marketing, an integrity company. This episode was written and produced by me, Sarah Ruppel. Script editing and fact check by Tina Lamoureux. Podcast design by Urban Rivera. Artwork by Vivian Zhao. Follow along with us wherever you like to listen.